Drew, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So when I was told you're going to be interviewing Drew, I started listening to Heaven is a Silent Disco, and it is great. I really like
Thanks,
it. Yeah. It's such a fun album. And one of the things that I noticed, and when I was researching the album, one of the big takeover reviews said that it's like a bunch of different amalgamation of a bunch of different eras of pop music. So what were some of your influences?
Well, I mean, growing up, I listened to a lot of David Bowie, so there's definitely some labyrinthian Bowie turns and twists in the album, which is nice. There's a lot of new wave on the album. We were talking earlier before recording about being obsessed with the B-52, so there's definitely like that type of new wave going on. But then also, I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of music from the aughts, very, very poppy, indie pop, kaleidoscopic stuff. So it's fun to think a lot about textures when writing. So there's a lot of 70s, there's a lot of 80s, there's a lot of aughts, but for some reason I skipped the 90s. So.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, so when I was listening to it on the way over here, I was like, that's a little Prince.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of Prince too, yeah.
Yeah, it's really great. It's a fun album. So this is your second album.
Yeah.
And there's often a sophomore slump with a lot of albums, but this is not suffering from that, right? So what were some of the challenges that you had in recording this album versus the success of the last album?
Yeah, I mean, with challenges, it was just a timing thing, because I like to work fast, and that doesn't always create the best product. And I think the biggest like difference between quality of the first and second album is that the first album was very like, okay, I've got time during the lockdown portion of the pandemic. I'm just going to record. I'm going to press record and just see what happens. I don't know necessarily the best technique. We don't have the best equipment, but I just want to do this. So we were able to get things done pretty quickly in terms of recording. But then with this more recent album with Heaven is a Silent Disco, we were able to spend a lot more time on getting the best sound and making sure we're using the proper mics and using proper techniques and whatever you need to do for it, which takes a lot longer. Or if we're like saving up for equipment that we want to use, that takes a lot longer. So I think the biggest challenge was just that I got really impatient with it, which takes a little bit of the joy out of the recording process. But ultimately, it's still like a big fixation of mine is working on like different softwares and things like that. So I was happy to be able to do it for as long as we were this year.
Yeah. So when you said that the impatience is a challenge, how do you overcome that?
Giving myself no other choice. I think really the biggest way that I overcome that is just how, like I was saying, is just like how deeply fixated I get on working in like Logic Pro is the software that I use. And so it is really rewarding to be able to just like sit down for hours and just tweak things until I'm happy with them and not necessarily know what I'm doing, but just experiment with all that. So I think even though it took a while, it allowed me to get even more fixated in mixing and working on the album that way.
Yeah. So did you record it in your home or where'd you record it?
Yeah, I mean, a couple different places. It was mostly recorded in my home, a couple different homes actually. We started recording when I was living on like 50th and Sheridan, really South Minneapolis. And I think we recorded part of Four Steps there, part of New Sun, part of Pleasantness even, I think a little bit was recorded there. And then I moved to a place in Northeast and I recorded a little bit there as well. I moved into my current apartment with my fiance and a majority of it was recorded there. We also recorded a lot at the school that me and the drummer Ben Ehrlich teach at. So we have access to that studio whenever we want. So we'd go there for weekends when we both had time and just get drums recorded, or I'd record the guitar parts there because then I could like turn it up extra loud and I wasn't waking up children or scaring dogs. So
So the opening track is Dare to be Bogus.
Yeah.
I have a two-part question.
Ooh.
First, is that a Weird Al reference from Dare to be Stupid?
Oh, what? No, I don't know that one. Oh my God. I will actually wait. Yes, okay. It is. No, I need to listen to that though. I have a student who's obsessed with Weird Al, so we've done like all of his early stuff, which I didn't realize how heavily he relied on the accordion, which is just like me not knowing anything about Weird Al. But like, man, I wish Like, we all deserve to be loved as much as Weird Al loves his accordion.
And so my second question is, what was the songwriting process like involved for that song and mixing, like, there's the rock guitar and then you bring in the pop stuff.
Yeah. Actually, that one has a lot of fun recording techniques going on. So like the intro, we recorded the drums just doing one fill. Or actually, I think the fill was part of the whole entire drum thing, but we like chopped it up. We like smashed it together into just one track, and then we just like grilled and fried it with distortion to kind of give that intensity. We kind of did the same thing with the opening guitar part that has just a harmonic that we distorted a bunch, so it gives a lot of color to it. There is a lot of like panning. We were working with space a lot with that one, especially for the intro. Like the guitars kind of like pan left and right a little bit to give a little bit of movement, and there's like a huge layered harmony that's got a bunch of different voices on it. And I'm trying to think, there's like a whole cello choir that we added like a bunch of really fun tremolo on. In terms of like the rock elements of it though, it was kind of hard because like weirdly enough, recording guitar is the thing that I have the trickiest time with. I don't know why. I probably just need better mics or something like that, but it was fun working in the software, just like finding a way to make it more distorted and make it shine through a little bit more. It's also fun because there's a lot of acoustic guitar in that track, oddly enough, that I think makes the pace a little bit speedier than the actual tempo allows. So yeah, there's a lot going on with it. But.
So how did you teach yourself how to work with these tools? Or
yeah, me and Ben, we've been recording together since like 2008 or 9, and so we've been gathering equipment for over a decade, and we've been working with a bunch of different stuff. And we, when we were like in college separately, we weren't really working on that as much. I was still releasing like a solo album every year of just random junk I was working on in my parents' basement for a summer. but in terms of like actually recording and mixing, that we really picked it up the last couple of years, starting to work more with more outboard gear and less plugins and things like that. So just finding the actual sound that you want when you're recording it, rather than just getting okay quality sound and then tweaking the hell out of it later on. Right. Yeah, I think speaking of that, one of the big things we had to overcome was that synth solo in Dare to Be Bogus, because we had probably 15 takes of it, of different versions of that solo, and we're like, God, all of them sound great, but not every single one is like perfectly what we want. So we just Frankenstein the heck out of it. So that solo's like 20 solos in one, which is like pretty awesome. Fun. Yeah. So yeah, just learning along the way.
Okay. Yeah. So what does the future hold for DeLakes?
Ooh, a lot of stuff. I'm really excited about I'm really excited about working on a third album, because I just want to be very funny with all of it and very tongue-in-cheek with a lot of like lyric writing. I want to have more group vocals. I want to have a lot more creative input from everyone, because most of the time it's just kind of like I write a song and I start producing it, and then I'll have people play parts here and there, which is like really fun. That's really satisfying for me, but it's kind of the opposite of what being in a band is. So it like just feels like I'm hiring people to play these things that I'm coming up with, which is fun. That's nice, but yeah, I don't know. There'll be more of a group mindset if we work on things together. So I think that'll be nice. Otherwise, we have a radio appearance in St. Cloud in a few months. We're playing a festival in Milwaukee in April. There's a few other things. We've got a show at 7th Street coming up on January 11th, so that'll be nice. But yeah, just a lot of shows and celebrating the release of our second album, which has been so fun so far.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks so much. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Thanks so much.
I don't know why I'm applauding.
Okay.